Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Well, it's been a few days since the October Scaller box arrived, and I've done my first challenge piece, which I was quite happy with, but it's time to do a bit more experimenting. Let me show you what I've got. So if you haven't seen it, what we got this time, we got these YONO paint pens made by Marabou. Lovely selection of colours, and they're called YONO because it's you only need one. They'll work on any surface: stone, card, paper, fabric, glass, almost anything apparently. They're permanent on porous surfaces, but can be removed from non-porous surfaces. Here's everything I've got left from the box. Scaller challenged us to use the actual box this time as a surface to work on, so I did that. This is all I've got left, and this is my first challenge piece. I made this little birdhouse. I got this effect by tearing the surface off the card. I made these little sort of folk art style birds to go on it. And we also got this little narrow format sketch pad. It's a quite lightweight, smooth sketch paper. I did struggle to get the pens to work properly. Now they're supposed to be able to layer over one another, and that's where the problem came. They were fine on their own, but since I came to layer over, I had a bit of a problem. And they have, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, I made these as well, but they didn't make the cut. I don't know if you'll really be able to tell that, but they have a lovely matte chalky finish, which is great, but they don't then seem to like layering over that once it's on. I did make sure it was completely dry before I layered over it. You can see I managed to get them to do it, but it was quite a battle. I also struggled a little bit because of the nibs are quite fat, which is fine if you're working on bigger things or covering big areas, but working on this small size of paper meant that I couldn't make my birds any bigger than this, and it was hard to get the detail I wanted. So I'm not going to give up on the pens. The colours are gorgeous, and when they go down they are beautiful. Oh, and we also got this Pentel permanent marker, which is great for like outlining and things, and we'll also work on lots of different surfaces. Here's the inspiration piece by Enriquez Chesonis. I don't know how you say his names, so I'm probably butchering it, which I think is lovely. I don't know what size he worked on there. Actually, if you look very closely, you can see that he's also got that sort of very chalky texture in it, and it looks almost a little bit kind of lumpy. Anyway, I want to do some other experimenting with these. I want to try lots of different surfaces. They worked fine on the cardboard. They covered the cardboard really well. And with these, I scribbled onto the glass mat and just then rubbed the paint up with my finger because I didn't want to risk ruining my nibs. But you can see it even covered the print and things really well. I'm going to try some different surfaces, and I also want to try using them like paint, scribbling on my glass mat and using a little paintbrush and some water to apply them, and see what I can do with them that way. So let me show you some of the other surfaces I've got ready to try. I've got this other sketchbook. This is an Art Deco one, and this one is made for, I think the original branding had the actual Posca branding on it as well, so it's good for things like, so if it's good for Posca pens, I feel like surely it would be good for these as well. It's a really smooth, almost a shiny kind of not shiny, but it's got a bit of a sheen to it, and it's extremely smooth. So I'm going to try that paper, but I've also raided my recycling. You can see what we had for dinner last night. These are really nice if you want a vegetarian alternative to a meat burger. Well, it's completely plant-based, so it's actually vegan. Blimmin' lovely, these ones. So I've got that just to try some different. I've given them a wash because obviously you don't want it to be greasy or anything. So I'm going to try them. The challenge was things with wings, which is why I went for the birdhouse, and I've got these. But I've got some other things with wings ideas that I want to try using some of these other materials. Cardboard, this film, and this plastic to try it out. A couple of straws there I might use for, I'm thinking, birds' legs. And I've got a skewer. So this isn't cheating. This will still be alright for the challenge because they've come out the recycling. Anything that came out the recycling, I'm not going to count it as an extra. These, though, are things that I've pulled out of my crafty drawers. I have had knocking around for a while, I thought it would be a really good way to try them out. I always buy these kind of things. If I see them really cheap in a craft shop, I grab them because I always think they'll be handy. So these are just wooden shape. They're quite fun. You could put them on greetings cards or whatever, or attach them to a gift or something like that, or put little hangers on and hang them on a tree. I don't know. But anyway, so I grabbed them. I probably got them for 50p or something, I expect. So I'm going to try some of those. I've also got a wooden word here from my scrapbooking days that I never use, so I'll try that. And then I've got different canvas shapes. So again, I pick these up when I see them really cheap. You can see that was only £1, and there's 5 sheets of adhesive backed canvas there. No idea what I'm going to do with them, but like I say, I grab them because I know they will be useful for something, even if it's just for like miniature making and stuff at some point, mixed media work or whatever. I've got this little bowl I tend to keep for when I'm beading and stuff like that. I tend to keep it on my desk, so I'm just going to have a go on there. It won't be permanent on here. I know with Pintor pens, which I've experimented with in the past, I think if you do them on china or glass and then bake them in the oven at a certain temperature, they are then permanent. I'm not sure I'd put them through the dishwasher, but so I don't know if that's the case with these. They don't say so on their website. I had a look and they just say that they're removable on non-porous surfaces. So I've also got this little, these were in the works. They had them really, I think they're like 3 for 50p or something. I don't know, I can't remember now. Was it 50p? Anyway, it's a little tiny canvas, obviously under the plastic, and the whole of the back is magnetic, so you can make little fridge magnets. I think that's really cute as well. I've got this stone. I couldn't be bothered going out in the garden in the rain to get another stone, so I'm going to use this one. And this is where I was experimenting when we had the Pintor pens, the neon Pintor pens. So I'm just going to use the other side of this and see how it works with how these work with stone. And then finally, I think this is the last thing, I've got these acrylic blocks. Now I got these ages ago, years ago, at a workshop. They come with these with a blue film on either side, and when you peel it off, they're completely clear like this. And what we were doing at this workshop was making like layered paintings. I did a bee. I wonder if I still got it. Hang on. I think we did the bee. Then we stamped this hexagon shape. Then after that was dry, we did a layer of that sort of off-white colour, and then a layer of the golden colour to kind of show through, so that you got that. Similar thing here. But what I've also seen people doing is using lots of different layers. Seems to be quite popular to do things like fish, where you layer up the painting so that when you look down through, you're seeing all the different layers. Of course, there's a limit to what I can do with these size nibs and this colour range. I love the colour range, but you know, a lot of the things I'd think of doing a layer painting aren't going to work with these colours. So I'm just going to try them out on this material to see how they are and see if they wipe off easily. Just out of interest, really. And I'm hoping at the end of the day I'll experiment all the different surfaces and make one finished project. And I think it's going to be a 3D project again, probably. I've got lots of. I had so many ideas when it first came. Look at all the ideas I've scribbled down. I think I'm going to try the paper first. I use the back of something that, yeah, let's use a bit of this. Okay. Just curious. I'm going to try all the colours as well, and I'm going to try layering them. I also just remembered as I turn around there, I got this out as well. So this is, there's still got some left here. Really, really thin sheets of foil that you can use with little ball tools like this. Let's get a fatter one. I've got clay all over that. You can use ball tools like this to emboss into it. You can also use tools like this to make textures in it and things. So I'm thinking if it works on metal, I can do probably some nice combinations. Oh my goodness, listen to that. Bit of a change. Yeah, so I might be able to do some interesting things with a combination of the paint pens and those tools if it if it works on metal. So that's another one I'm going to try in a minute. Right, let's go. I need to make sure I've got that window closed. Right. So this first colour is called Pastel Blue, I believe. Yeah. So with all paint pens, you have to give them a really good shape. And I'm just going to give it a little prime to make sure it's flowing before I start. Well, it definitely is. It's almost overflowing there. You can see the paint sort of pooling up a bit there. And they did say in the book, go fairly gentle on paper. Yeah, seems to be working fine there, doesn't it? So we'll let that dry. And they also said in the book that because it's quite sort of thick and juicy, the ink or paint in these, you do need to give it plenty of time to dry before you try layering. That's gone on quite nicely. It's still very wet. I'm going to let that completely dry. They seem to go quite chalky once they're dry. If I go too quickly, I'm going quite slowly. Give them the best chance. It's gone on a bit strangely, that one. That's better. It really, look at the difference there where I stopped and gave that another shake and primed it again. Can you see the difference there? So far they're going on really nicely. There's no point in me putting white on this paper. I'll keep the white to go over the top of the others. That still feels cool, so I think as long as it feels cool, it's still slightly damp, so I'm going to leave them for a bit longer while I try something else, and I'll come back and try layering in a minute. Let's try applying some with a brush as well. So I'm just going to damp my brush and try just applying the paint with just a slightly damp brush. Or I can really water it down. And get quite a watercolour kind of effect. I could also mix those colours like that, couldn't I? Okay. See, now that kind of looks dry, but I still think there's a slight coolness to touch. I'm going to leave it a bit longer. I'm going to give them the best possible chance. Oh, I could have tried metal on there as well, couldn't I? Shall I do that now? Let's just well, it's done a nice opaque coverage on the metal. Let's see how that dries up in a minute. What shall I try next? So it's a really nice, convenient way to be able to add colour to words like this. So let's do pink this time. I worry a bit about the nibs being damaged, but apparently, again, looking on the website, they do replacement nibs. Another thing I did with the white, when it got a bit gunky with all my while I was doing my painting my fence posts and things, is you just take hold of the nib, just pull it out. It comes out quite easily. Give it a good wash under the tap, let it dry, just tap the pen without the nib in to get any last little bits out of the kind of chamber there, and then put the nib back in and pump it again, as like you do when you first start using it, and good as new. So that's that was worth doing. It's covering this beautifully. Again, not sure how one will layer over the other, so in a minute I'm going to try and do perhaps a white stripe on here or something. Let's try mixing them together sort of on the surface. So I'm going to morph into the purple. Yep, they're beautiful to use on this, absolutely beautiful. I'm going to go into the blue. Just blend that in with my finger a bit. Yeah, covering beautifully, going on nice and smoothly. I don't need another coat. I will just try layering over in a minute just to see if you can. It almost feels like they work better on anything other than paper. There we go, so that's quite pretty, and you can see how solidly that's covered and how quick that was. Well, look, I've missed a little spot there. I wouldn't use it like that on anything probably. If I was going to use that, I'd probably just make it black or something, but I'm just, yeah, experimenting for the sake of it really. So there's probably no point in using, I mean, that's just, especially for a bigger area, so let's try it. I can do more stripes on here or something, can't I? So let's go green this time. So I'm going to do them green and then see if I can do white stripes over the top, because I think that's a pretty good test. This feels like it'll be quite rough on the nibs. You can, if you put a bit on like that, you can then rub it in and that makes it sort of just rub it into the grain. I'm sort of colouring with the grain rather than scribbling back and forth across the grain, because I think that's going to be more damaging to the nibs. This is a nice shade of green. They call it mistletoe. Quite nice. I might try doing a little, let's put a pink contrast along here, shall we? So I'm going to again let that dry and then try doing white stripes over it. It still feels cool. I think those are getting there. Look at the difference between where I gave that another shake and another prime. Like an iced biscuit or something. How's that covered? Again, I'm trying to go with the grain. And we'll set that aside to dry. Works beautifully on the stone. Goes on all juicy and opaque. Doesn't come off with rubbing, but I'm only rubbing gently. But I'm sure if you wanted it to come off, yeah, it would, but not too easily. I'm going to have to scrape that. So that's pretty good. I'm pleased with the metal. I mean, if I was doing that for something to just quickly colour something, if I was making miniatures or something that's not going to get any touch or any wear really. I mean, it's so quick and convenient. That's basically like having acrylic paint in a really convenient format, isn't it? It's just this layering thing. I'm just really anxious to see if that works better for me today. So with the fabric, I'm just going to use one of these little heart shapes. It's quite a coarse fabric, isn't it? But it certainly seems to be covering well. I think if I was doing something I really wanted to be permanent, I'd carefully iron it to heat set it afterwards, but you can see how well that seems to be covering. Right, that's going to take a while to dry because it's just soaked into the fabric. I quite like the idea of just writing bowl on it. I'm going to do that. Yeah, Again, lovely solid coverage in one coat. Hey. I don't know how, I did wash these things, but I don't know how greaseproof they ended up being, so we'll see. We'll soon find out. Pretty good, pretty good. Cardboard we know will work actually. I've just got that out really for the project answer do in a minute. I shall use the other side of it. Let's just put a bit just to, you know, film. Card. And then there's this other kind of plastic I just wanted to try. Right, set that aside to dry. Now these surely will be ready for layering now. Oh! Blimmin' brilliant. Definitely going to try some of that kind of backwards painting. So we've got acrylic, plastic, wood, stone, canvas, this other kind of paper, plastic film, still not dry, and the card. Is that everything I wanted to try? And obviously this other kind of paper. I think it is. I think that's it. Right. So surely these must be, they feel now, they don't feel kind of cold anymore. So now I'm going to try using the white pen over the top of these. Fingers crossed. Because then I want to try that on the wood. And you can see on the wood, it actually, you can see where it's still not dry. I think this bit probably is dry and that bit's not. The fabric, I suspect, is going to stay wet for quite a while because it's really soaked in. Stone is completely dry. Metal is dry. This first bit of wood is probably dry. Well, it certainly will be once I've done this. I'm going slow, quite slowly and gently. I think if I wanted to go over again, if I wanted another coat on the white, I'd have to let that white dry again. If I go over it now, it'll chew it up. If I go over this one again now, for instance, yeah, it doesn't like it. I think what I'll do is I will try something else again on this paper, but just giving it lots of time in between to dry, because there's no problem at all with those now. Just to recap, this is how it's performing on the paper, but we're leaving lots of time in between to dry. This is just on plastic film out my recycling. That's dried now, and it's certainly not, it's made a lovely, hold it up against the white, completely opaque line in one go. It's not coming off. I'm rubbing fairly vigorously now, but I guess it would if I scraped it because it's a non-porous surface. Yeah. So that's that film. This is the acrylic block. And let's show you one. Really happy with that. Film, acrylic. This is like waste plastic. This is just plastic packaging. This was the wood. Oh, I've still got to do try the stripes on the wood. That still looks and feels slightly damp to me. So where did the sweetie thing go? Oh. Right, this I think is dry now. Let's try doing a bit of a stripe over this. I'm going against the grain of the wood here, which I don't like doing, but it's absolutely fine. There is not a problem with it at all on the wood. it's fine on the stone as well. Say I changed my mind and wanted the E to be a different colour. Yep, it's fine. It's not got a problem with that at all. My bowl. Ceramics. I can't do anything over the top of that one because it's still wet, and I think it will be wet for some time. It's soaked right into the fabric, but it's covered really well. And this was the little metal piece. What I'm going to do is take all that off and just write metal on there. Just to be consistent, so I can use, because if I can use everything that's in the box, I can, oops, that means I can also use bits out of the magazine and things. I could cut the words "things with wings" out and stick them onto my bird that I'm going to make and things. So I'm going to see what I can come up with, and I will come back and show you in a minute. Right, so I had a good old experiment on all those different surfaces, and I have to say I'm much more impressed with the pens than I was to start with. I think they just take a little bit more patience than, a little bit more time than I was given it, perhaps, I don't know. Anyway, so now I've done a few sketches on paper, some on the paper that came in the box and some on that other paper that I showed you. So I'm going to try both and see which I prefer. I know I will prefer the bigger size, that's always the case, but I mean, you know, they can only send the paper that will fit in the box, can't they, after all. Some ways I sometimes think I'd rather they just left the paper out, let us all get our own favourite paper to work on, maybe just a tiny bit for swatching or something, or just give me an extra pen, an extra colour or something instead, because I've got loads and loads of paper. Yeah, sometimes I think that would be a good idea. But I suppose what they're trying to do is make it so that if you've got nothing else and that's the first box you've ever had, you've got everything you need to do something with. Okay, so let me show you what I've got here, and then I'm going to sit and watch something on YouTube or whatever while I work through these 2 or 3 different things I'm going to do. So this one's a big size. I've just done, I don't know if you can see, a really, really rough sketch of an owl shape. Here I've just done a sort of wonky long-legged chicken, and I'm going to try and fold this long paper up so that you can either have a little short stubby chicken, or you can pull it out and it'll be a long lanky chicken. I thought that'd be a fun way of using the scope of the paper. That's just a really quick sketch for the thing I'm going to do on card and actually have 3D standing. There's some origami cranes. That first one is too big really, but it took me so long to do I couldn't bear to rub it out. It's not right now, it's a bit wonky, but never mind, it's fine. That'll do, just to try the paper out. And then I did this rough sketch of an owl, and this was based on something I found online actually. So it was a cross-stitch design, so I will have to very much put my own spin on it because I don't want to just copy what they've done. But yeah, so that's a few different ideas I want to try. We'll come back and see you at the end and speed through this and try and remember to put some music on for you. Right, so I've filled in all the base colour on this, but I'm going to leave that to thoroughly dry and just go back to here. And I need to redo some of the black lines, so I was interested to see how this would go back over the pens, because they are quite chalky. You can feel a roughness, but I do think they're completely dry now. The first couple of lines I've just tried seem to be fine, so let's hope that carries on. So I wish it was a little bit finer line on this size of paper. Well, I maybe should have left them as they were, I don't know, but I just think it needed that, it needed tidying up. So there we go, that's that one done. Now I have to say, so far, they were all right on this paper. I think I slightly prefer this paper. I've got pretty good coverage. You can see some bits where it looks a little bit funny, but most of it just went on really easily. I just took my time. I did avoid going back over, so I didn't kind of just randomly scribble. I kind of quite carefully controlled my lines, and occasionally I just reshook it and pumped it. I'm going to go over that bit again now, just to cover up those bits. Leave this a little bit longer to dry while I go and sort my dinner out, and then I'm going to come back and go back in with the white pen. I think this is the point where I'm going to leave it for now. Where's my... oh, there it is. This point where I'm going to leave it for now. Go and get my dinner sorted. And then when I come back, this should all be thoroughly dry, and I can go in and start adding some more layers. I think, yeah, so far putting these first layers on, I'm really happy with it. The black pen, the permanent marker's gone over the top of them fine. They've gone on nicely with the brush in a more sort of watery way. What remains to be seen now is how they will layer over this kind of more, this thinner application, and how they will layer over themselves when they're completely dry. Well, I've just realised I thought I was recording all that time. Went to press stop recording and realised I'd never started, so I haven't recorded any of this. So what I've done here, I used a mask made out of this continuous sticky note roll. It's great this because it's like sticky all across the surface. It's lovely for making little masks. So I masked off the moon, used the water and a brush in with some of the pens scribbled on my glass mat to get the background. I tried to get leaf shapes, but I'm just finding the pens a bit too clumsy on this size of paper to do what I want, so I've just used dots in the end. It was the best I could do. And I was also explaining talking to myself, as it turns out, that I'm going to cheat a bit and use this matte graphite pencil. We got this in an earlier Scrawler box. I love these pencils. In fact, actually I think this is a replacement one I bought because I wore the other one down. They're lovely. It's a 14B, so it's really dark, but it's really matte, unlike, you know, graphite. You usually get that shine. So I'm going to use that to just define some of the details and things, because I just can't do it with with this size of nib. See, I did this just now when I wasn't recording. Even with the finest line I can get, it's just going to be too clumsy for what I want there, so I'm going to cheat a bit. Scrawler don't mind a little bit of cheating. I don't have to submit it for the challenge anyway. As far as I'm concerned, the challenge is just a jumping off point to get you started, really. So yeah, I'm not all that happy with this yet, but it might still be redeemable. I'm not sure. I'm going to keep working on it. This video is going to get awful long. So I'm going back to my long-legged chicken here, and I'm going to do the same thing with a bit of a background. I think I'll use the blue this time. Right, let's do the big reveal. Yeah, I'm desperate for some contrast, for a darker tone in here somewhere, but I still feel that the Pentel is just too clumsy for the detail I want, and I can't use it with a brush like I can with these. You know, I can't mix it with water and use it that way. So yeah, again, I'm gonna use my matte graphite to add some detail. So I'm going to do that with both of these, and then the only one I've got left that I want to do today is the sort of 3D standing up bird. Not quite sure what kind of bird that is. But yeah, that's roughly what it's going to look like, and I'm going to do that on what's left of the Scrawler box, I think. Right, I'm done. I'm really chuffed with how he turned out, and I think that will stand up nicely on a shelf. I've given it a little bit of thickness at the bottom, so I'm hoping it will. I might need to just glue it to another little kind of plinth of card like that to make it stand nicely. But yeah, I cut the words out from the challenge card. All I've got left, literally, of the box is these bits now. I've had a really good time with these pens in the end. I'm glad I gave them another bash. So these are all of my projects, or the one that I did. Oops, the one that I did the other day as well. So apart from this was an old skewer here, and this little bit of twine, a little bit of paper straw there, everything for all of these has come out of the box itself. Obviously I've used some glue, and I did use the pencil on these. I'm not very happy with how these came out. I just think they look a bit insipid, and they need the black, which I could, you know, seeing as I don't like them anyway, I might take a picture of them as they are and then try outlining them, but this is how it worked out with it, and I just think it's going to be too heavy for these. Anyway, so what did I find out about these pens? I like them much better now than I did the first time I tried them. There's a few key things with them though. Give them a good shake and a prime before you start using them each time. Be quite gentle with them, don't kind of scribble with them, sort of go easy, especially on paper and card. They definitely seem to struggle more with the more kind of absorbent surfaces. I think this cardboard that came from the back of the pad was harder to work on than this card, which was from the scorer box itself, that has got more of a shiny kind of smooth finish to it. Especially when you're going to lay it over them, make sure they are completely dry before you try and do that, because otherwise they just start chewing each other up and everything goes pear-shaped really quickly. I think I was a bit limited by the colours. There's no, apart from that black pentel, I haven't got a darker, it's all kind of the same tone, so that sort of limited me a bit. But I quite liked the folk arty style that I got with that one and this one. What I might do is just cheat and just use another fine line. I've got some fine pit pens that will probably go over these okay, and just give me that bit of contrast that I'm craving here. But yeah, I probably don't like those so much, but I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that and that, and I'm very happy with him. I think that's really cute. Okay, so that's it. That's me done for this month's Scorer box. I think I might. I would definitely carry on using the pens. I mean, they're brilliant, and they do work on. You know, I tried them on all those other surfaces, which is great. So yeah, they're going to be very useful addition to my craft room, I think. I'm going to take a little picture of these now and cobble this together. I think it might be a bit of a long video, but you know, I wanted to try everything. Oops. So that's it from me for now. If I don't see you before, please remember it's Arty Farty Party Day on Saturday, 5th November, Saturday coming, 2 PM to 4 PM UK time. Lots of goodies to give away. We've got guests coming on. We're going to have a doodle along, so bring your doodling kit. And if you haven't entered the draw for the Scorer box yet, I will leave links below where you can go in there, do that. You've only got to comment pick me on the relevant post. There's no, take your seconds, and someone's got to win. All right then, that's it from me for now. I'll see you again really soon. Bye bye.